How do you feel when people come up to you and say that graffiti is not an art form but just a form of vandalism and destruction?
I believe that their opinion is invalid, basically. I believe that graffiti is what you want it to be. You can use it to express your own opinions or a political message or just make a nice picture, try and make someone smile.
Life's kinda rough when you're living in Bristol. Friends dropping fast at the end of a pistol. Money kinda low, I can't afford to drink crystal. Life's kinda harder when you're living in Bristol. Friends getting up to that something.
Bristol has embraced graffiti, legalising it in certain areas. The city now actively encourages visitors to look at the street art and to engage in the subculture. But what drives these aspiring graffiti artists to take to the streets themselves?
It's just a way of expressing myself. It's a way of putting your view across. It means a lot to me in the sense that I find it a good way to express my feelings and basically it's just a good way to spend my time rather than going sitting in the pub and getting pissed out of my head for 3 hours. I can go to a factory or this place, anywhere really, and do something nice.
And graffiti is hanging out, it's about drinking with your friends, it's about music, and it's about clothes and so on. So that's graffiti.
I too, why can't I express myself here? Why don't I belong to this world? Why can't I change the world as well? Why can't I put my own mark? In a way, graffiti is Tesco's opening up a new shop down the road. They're putting their brand on there, they're putting their logo on there. That's what, do you understand? And that's what sometimes people are doing. Some people are just saying, oh, I exist. And whether it's beautiful or not, I think that's still very expressive, and that tells a lot about what's going on in the world. And that's what graffiti is about, really. It's just an expression.
Graffiti is well known for its political overtones, moral messages, and as a symbol of anarchy. But does being a graffiti artist automatically make you a political activist? And is a message always essential?
It's a little bit more, I suppose it can be graffiti, but it's a broader term which encompasses the kind of work that I do, which is we are political, so I'm an activist, and so the work that I do has a broader context, has a meaning.
I try to stay away from political statements and meaning. I try through my art personally. I like it to kind of reflect a kind of positive outlook on things. I want it to make brighten people's days, not gloom them with a kind of political incident or occurrings of the time. I want it to uplift people and kind of almost have a spirituality to it. Not a criticism. I want it to all be positive, not negative, because there's enough negativity everywhere in the media, and even when you talk to someone in the street, they'll have negative things to say.
It's everything that you do isn't always based around a political message. It's just different ways of doing things.
I think people crave political message, and it's almost illegal in this country now.
According to the Criminal Damage Act of 1971, graffiti artists can go to prison for 10 years or fined if the damage costs more than £5,000. If the damage causes less than £5,000, you could face 3 months imprisonment or a £2,500 fine. Some people are of the opinion that graffiti is beyond anything more than criminal vandalism, which causes damage to property and ruins the cityscape.
I think vandalism is a deliberate act to destroy something.
People who don't appreciate that form of art look at it negatively as vandalism, but then people who appreciate it and kind of are a part of that culture look at it as a form of art.
How can they be fine with having a billboard on the side of the M5 with a massive fucking Gucci symbol or something, but at the same time you can't have a massive picture that someone spent hours doing and actually looks good?
We were Chris was caught putting a sign up that said "Welcome to Stokes Croft." We kept doing it, and Chris got arrested, and he went to court pleading guilty of doing the piece, but not guilty of criminal damage because it wasn't criminal or damage. So unfortunately, at that hearing. We had a very unsympathetic magistrate. He didn't have the intellectual capacity to understand our defence. He was an idiot. You have these people making judgments, which they're not really equipped to do. So Chris was found guilty of criminal damage.
Bristol has started to accept graffiti as a fundamental part of the city.
I feel it's, obviously in some areas, it's the graffiti actually draws people in. Say you take Stokes Croft, like, because there's established graffiti there, it actually draws in tourists and people want to go and see it. Whereas I think in other places where it's not known for its art, it's frowned upon. I'd say it's frowned upon by the kind of the older generation, but the younger generation, I think, can appreciate it more.
I admire this. I think it's wonderful. Takes this dull street and it makes it look really nice.
It's graffiti though, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
We call it graffiti, but not to me. I think that's good. That's a work of art.
To me, that's painting. Art.
Yeah.
Now, what Stokes Croft is all about is basically giving people a voice to a certain extent to create, what we call an urban discussion almost. It's a way for people to discuss ideas, and then it raises the question now: who's allowed to ask questions and who's allowed to change the fabric of the city, really, and because the fabric of the city affects us massively, really, in terms of how we observe the world.
I think there are too many opinions. We always have to give an opinion on what we think about everything. Some things just are, and graffiti is just something that's kind of organic, that grows out of communities where, generally, out of communities that are disenfranchised.
Capitalist domination of our world, really, and so what you have is that they've taken the idea of graffiti and made a big exhibition called See No Evil. You've probably heard of that, worldwide, with world-famous graffiti artists that would come here. And what the purpose of that exhibition was actually to attract people, not to this area, but to the new mall, which they've just created, they've just built a couple of years ago. So now they've used graffiti, and none of that political stuff that originally was part of the original graffiti scene, none of that was being put up there at the See No Evil exhibition. That was just like Mickey Mouse being put up, and again, beautiful pieces, really well, technically, very well produced, but no message whatsoever. It's just pretty drawings. So they've taken the idea of Banksy, realized, okay, Banksy, he can be commercially successful. We can make a lot of money out of this. Now let's get rid of the original thing was, again, criticizing society, trying to, make people look at society in a different way, try to make them understand what's wrong with it. And they've taken the idea, taken the means, which is like the graffiti, so the tool, which is the graffiti, got rid of the original idea and said, right, let's make a shitload of money out of this, and just made loads of pretty drawings that people can say, wow, this is really pretty.
Graffiti has always been a way for people without a voice to express themselves. But with Bristol's move to commercialise street art, will we see a new renaissance in underground graffiti art?